공감 꾹 댓글 쫙 시즌 수술을 But you have to do one thing. Make a C shape.
A C shape?
Yeah, like hand C.
Like that?
Yeah. And usually means like talk. So like talk.
Yeah.
Like CZ usually.
Huh?
Try this.
What?
CZ
CG?
usually.
Usury.
Okay, one more time. CZ
CZ
usually.
Usury.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand. CG.
CZ usually.
Usury. Oh, usury.
Yeah, means talk.
I have to say that?
Okay.
Alright.
Okay. Hello, Jim.
Hi.
Okay.
Where do I look?
Anywhere.
Anywhere? Because it doesn't look like I'm looking in the camera.
It's okay. We have like 3 cameras, so I
okay.
can edit for
I
you.
can say hi there.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me to have an interview with you.
Okay, thank you.
And prior to ask you questions, could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. Hi. My name is Jim Vanderkyle. I've been in the industry since 1989.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was born in 1988.
1988. Okay, a year after you were born.
All right.
Oh my God. Jeez, it's been a long time. Yeah, my first venture into animation was on The Little Mermaid.
Oh.
Yeah.
The 2D one?
The 2D one. Correct.
Oh.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for introducing yourself, Jim.
Oh yeah, the projects.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to write them down because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, so I've worked in 2D and in 3D. And I worked on well, the very first project that I ever worked on was for Warner Brothers as an animator.
2D animator.
2D animator was the Quest for Camelot. I don't think anybody. Do you remember that?
No.
No, you don't heard of that one. But the next one after was the Iron Giant. I don't think a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
people heard that.
that's famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody knows about that one. But before then, before I became an animator, I was a cleanup artist.
Oh.
So I cleaned up there, and I did that for like 7 years, I think.
Wow.
Before I became an animator. So then I worked on The Little Mermaid, and I worked on a lot of commercials and things like that. But and then after, let's see, I've worked on the Iron Giant. I worked on Kung Fu Panda. Stuart Little was my first 3 CG.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked on Over the Hedge, and let's see, what Flushed Away, and was the last thing I did a little bit of work on Puss in Boots before I left Dreamer.
Oh, I see. I also
Yeah.
worked on Puss in Boots for TV series.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. And so, do you like a 2D animation side or like 3D animation side?
I like 2D because of the drawing part of it.
I think I saw you had published some of the drawing books before, right?
Yeah.
In your website, I checked it.
Yeah, but they're mostly like caricatures. They're not really animation.
Oh, I see.
Animation, how to draw animation style. But yeah, it was interesting because when I switched to CG, I had like maybe 4 or 5 years of feature animation experience in 2D.
I see.
And then it's starting to gel. Everything was starting to come together because they say it sometimes takes up to 5-7 years before you really feel comfortable as a 2D animator because there's a long apprenticeship. And so I remember this distinct feeling one day when I was drawing that, but one of the hardest things to do is draw in perspective. Things going in and out.
Especially cameras are like panning.
Well, yeah, but they don't. Back then, the camera was either held down or it panned, but it was never in and out so much. So that was because to make it easier on the animator. But the space started to open up. I really started to feel the 3D space. So when I was drawing, I felt like very comfortable in that 3D space, and then I switched to CG because everything was switching.
It's weird because I had heard many of 2D studio when they turn into 3D animator, like they really had a big trouble.
They had a hard time. Yeah, but for me, I always liked computers.
Okay.
So like I had a, I don't, you probably don't remember these computers, but one of the computers, they were called an Amiga 3000. I had an Amiga 3000.
Okay.
It wasn't a Macintosh, it wasn't a Windows machine, it wasn't
Alright.
Unix or anything like that.
Wow. I never heard of
Well, they did the Atari, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it was the same company that did that. I'm not sure.
Atari was a like game company.
Yeah, they made their own computer. It was the first multitasking computer. True
see.
Multitasking computer, because they had separate chipsets for it. So I loved that computer. And so I was always interested. And I got interested in, my first computer I bought was like in 1992 or 93. And so when it came time to switch over, I wasn't intimidated. Like a lot of my 2D animator colleagues were, there's no way I'm going into 3D. No way. They're going to hold on to that pencil for the rest of their lives. And of course, that's a different story now. But for me, it wasn't that hard. And I was kind of looking forward to it.
So you think you made a good choice?
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit ahead of everybody, actually, when they were making it. I was one of the first ones to go into it, embrace it from the 2D side. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So, which projects are the most memorable?
Which projects?
Yeah, like.
Well, I have to say, the first one would be Iron Giant.
Oh yeah, I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. It's very emotional, especially at the end when he goes Superman.
All right.
And but with Iron Giant, it was just great working with Brad Bird, because he was the director, and he really was a pleasure to work with.
So you personally know him?
Yeah, Brad Bird, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you start your career? Because back in the day, there wasn't much like studio like now, right?
Yeah, there wasn't at all. I remember wanting to be an animator when I was maybe, or Disney films or something to do with Disney back in when I was a teenager. But then I sort of gave up. I just went to art school and I had a painting degree. I was good at drawing caricatures, and I still do that now. But so I actually made a living as a caricature artist for 10 years after I got out of school. So it wasn't for a while that I actually got into animation. So I was a caricature artist, and I worked at places like Universal Studios, and I worked at did a lot of conventions and bar mitzvahs. The clients would come up and draw their caricature really fast.
It must be good help for your facial animation in the end.
It helps. But it was just a way to make money. Draw the caricatures as fast as you can and get the money and go home. It wasn't really an art, so to speak. It was just a way to make money. But yeah, I did that for a while, and then when I was 32, I moved to California when I was like 30.
Oh.
So I didn't get into animation until I was like 32.
Oh, it was big move.
Yeah. So I moved from the East Coast in the United States to the West Coast. And then the thing how I got into animation was in 2D was I was taking some computer graphic classes, and then some girl said, you might be interested in this in-between class on how to animate at the Cartoonist Union in Burbank, California. And I thought, yeah, this sounds pretty good. And the prices were pretty reasonable. You get an 11-week course for $65.
Wow.
Which is unheard of, right? And then I took some classes, and I got trained as an in-betweener by Milt Kahl's actual, his name was Dale Oliver, and he was the one who was teaching in-betweening. So, and for him, he was retired from Disney, and so he was teaching this. And right at that time, Little Mermaid was starting to hire, and they needed in-betweeners. So I learned how to do that, and I applied at Disney, and then I got in, and I was an in-betweener.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Because in this day, it's really hard to get a job right after school.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I'm 32.
Oh, all right. All right.
I'm 32.
Yeah.
And I already have married, and I've got like a kid, and I go apply at Disney, and like I got in. I was like, wow, this is great. So that's how I started my animation career. But I wasn't an animator.
In-betweener.
I was an in-betweener.
I see.
And I did that. I was on The Little Mermaid. And then they laid off everybody after that. And so I had to go look for work. And then I found a job with an ex-Disney animator, Dale Bear. And I worked for him for about 2 years, just doing commercials. And we helped out Disney on some small projects like The Prince and the Pauper and things like that. And then I worked at another company, Rich Animation, and I was a cleanup guy, the head cleanup guy, not the head cleanup, but I was like, a key cleanup.
Okay.
They call it the key cleanup, and I did that. Then at that point, I was like, you know what? At first, there was a big difference between cleanup people and animators, and there was a big gap. To go from a cleanup person to an animator was a huge chasm.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to be an animator. I'll just do this. This is fine. I like to draw. This is good. And then animation was this mysterious knowledge that you would acquire somehow. And then I thought, after a while doing it, after about 7 years, I saw how animators worked. I would, look at their drawings. I'd look at their charts and look at their timing. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's time to give it a chance and see if I can do this. So at the age of 37 or 38, I started to teach myself animation. I took classes and stuff like that. And then at 39, I became an animator.
Cool, finally.
39.
Wow.
That's old.
Yeah.
And when I was working, there were people much younger than I that were my supervisors.
Yeah.
So it was, I got there, So at Warner Brothers, I was an animator, and that's where I worked on The Quest for Camelot, Iron Giant, Osmosis Jones, and then after that, the division sort of just fell apart, and then I had to go find some work. And in the meantime, that was a transition. During that time is when I started to go looking into 3D animation.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing story.
Yeah. So I bet the hope is that, sometimes people think, oh, it's too late for me to start. But I'm an example of starting late and then actually finding a job and being successful at it. So it's never too late to start, except if you're already 60, then forget about it. Never mind. Just give it up after that.
Yeah, it's all about passion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your biggest challenge as an animator? Like any project, any shot, or any conflict?
The biggest challenge, I remember I was given some scenes, very, very juicy acting scenes in Iron Giant, and I remember being super scared that I wouldn't be able to do it because I thought it was just way beyond my grade. I thought I was just like, I don't know how to do this. This is the stuff that's Glenn Keane should do.
Okay.
Why are you giving it to me? And I was ready to quit
because they didn't have Glenn Keane.
Yeah. No, we had some good animators though at Warner Brothers. But yeah, I was very, very intimidated. But my supervisor, Chris Suave, he said, just take it one step at a time. Just do, take it in small chunks. You can't eat a whole elephant in one bite. You have to do it in small steps. And so that was very helpful. So I keep, and I do that all the time. If something feels too large and too intimidating, I say okay, what can I do? What can I handle? What is the small step that I can take that I know that I can do, and then I can build on top of that.
Cool. So, from your experience through many big studios around the world, such as Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, Blue Sky, DreamWorks, Framestore, can you briefly tell me the culture difference between them?
Yeah, there's slight differences in culture. There's only because whoever's there, the different egos that belong in each one. I've noticed that Blue Sky, as far as ego culture, has the fewest. They have a very humble attitude, and they want to teach people, and they don't hide their knowledge. They give it away, which I really thought was pretty cool. But all studios are pretty much similar. It's not that different.
Okay.
You just deal with different personalities, and that's pretty much it. And in any studio, you have to learn how to take direction and figure out what the personalities are and just deal with that. But the cultures, like I said, Blue Sky was really good. DreamWorks was awesome to work for because it felt like they had a big European influence. They had a lot of like we called them the French Connection. So they came from a history, kind of like it was very classy to work with them because they had this incredible. They took their culture that because to me the way I understand it is like in France they have the Louvre and they have this whole history of art and the big Renaissance happened in France and stuff like that. So you felt like you were kind of connected to that in a way.
All right.
It sounds like a lot of bullshit, but no, but it was true. And so in that sense, DreamWorks was slightly different than the other studios because of that European influence. Warner Brothers was just great to work for because we were a brand new studio and we really wanted to make our mark and do really well. And so everybody was super enthusiastic about working there in the beginning. It was great. And Sony was really awesome because we sort of had that same attitude because we were just getting into our own. We did Stuart Little, and we were going to do our own feature animation, and so that was sort of like a hybrid between VFX and feature animation. So and they had a great attitude towards their employees back then. So I've been lucky working for really good studios.
Yeah. I really envy you. So I can see that you also moved to Framestore.
Yeah.
What is the thing you had trouble since you were in 3D animation industry to VFX?
Yeah. So when I moved to Montreal, I guess preceding that, because I think that was one of your other questions.
Oh, all right.
Was how did I come to Montreal?
Yeah.
So after DreamWorks, I got there was, to be honest, I was laid off at DreamWorks.
Okay.
And they had a huge layoff, and they had dispense of 200 people. My contract was up, and so my number was up, so I had to go. Okay, that's life. That things happen. I had a good 8-year run at DreamWorks, and I enjoyed it, and I appreciated the experience and knowledge that I got from there. So after that, I decided I'm going to go on an adventure. Like my kids are I had 2 kids in college, and one was almost ready to graduate from high school. So I thought I'm going to go to Argentina because they
Argentina.
Yeah, they had a feature animation that they were doing there called Metagol.
Okay.
And it was completely in Spanish. I heard about it, and I asked the guy, I said, "You looking for somebody else?" And I said, "Yeah, well, And so they hired me, and I went down there. I lived there for a year.
Oh.
And so that was my adventure to working. Like for a lot of animators, they worked in England, they worked in France, and then they came to California.
Yeah.
For me, it was the opposite.
Oh.
I worked in California for many, many years,
Yeah.
15, 20 years. And then I left. I went to Argentina.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was a great experience. I had to learn some Spanish, and I got to know a whole different cadre of different types of animators, and notice that there's talented people all over the world.
Did you get any culture shock?
Oh, culture shock.
Yeah.
A little bit. It wasn't so bad. Argentina is a very interesting place. It's a little different type of government, so you had to kind of get used to that. But relied on the public transportation and everything. And they have opposite. Their winters are summers.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're on the south.
Yeah.
Kind of like Australia. Everything's reversed.
Yeah.
So, no, I had a super great time there. And then when that was done, I came back to the United States, and then did some freelance here and there, and then looking for the next gig, and then this the studio that we're at right now, right here, Singing Frog, was looking for an animation supervisor, and I never supervised before, so I thought, well, this is a great challenge, you know, this would be great. So they gave me an interview, and they said, well, what is your experience in supervising? I'm like, well, I don't have a lot, but I've taught now for a couple years, 3 or 4 years. And that, to me, was my training to become a supervisor. Because I think whenever anybody's a supervisor, there's a little bit of teaching that goes on, especially for the junior animators. They have to get going, and they have to understand the principles of animation. And so that's how I approached it. And they liked the interview, and they said, come on over. And so that's what I did. And I moved to Montreal in 2014.
So wait, so you worked in Singing Frog before Frame Store?
Yes. Okay. On the Snow Time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a supervisor on the Snow Time.
Okay.
Which, by the way, for Quebec, and I'm proud to say that our little movie, in French it's called La Gare de Tuc.
Okay.
But when they did the English version, it was called Snow Time. And it became the number one homegrown movie that made the most money in Canada.
Cool.
Yeah.
Actually, the funny thing is, you know, I was in Korea last month.
Yeah.
And I watched TV, and I saw the Snow Time for like paid channel.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So
did you watch it?
Yeah. So like, holy shit! And I'm like, how come how possible? And like,
and it's in China now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's making its rounds in China. So,
okay.
So, but you were asked about Frame Store.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry.
So I'm leading into that.
Yeah, you're a great leader.
So after Snow Time was done,
all right.
Of course, now it's time to look for work, and I was either going to go to Cinesite or Frame Store, and it was like between the two. And then Frame Store said, "We'll give you this," and I thought, "Okay, this looks pretty good," and the experience of working in VFX was interesting to me.
Okay.
I wanted to see what that was about and the culture of VFX.
So how was it?
Now, that is another story because
right.
VFX and feature animation are really almost two different kind of animals. I don't know how they're still going for the same goal.
Yeah.
You know, animation, except that the way they go about it is kind of different. And I at first kind of questioned it because I had some shots, and normally I'm used to having a shot being final like within 2, maybe 3 weeks, but I had shots that lasted for months.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
That's like, okay, this is it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, move that over to the right, move that over to the left. Okay, good. And I'm like, oh, it must be done. And then next time, yeah, okay, now go down here and go up here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm done now, right? No. And this would happen, and then I work on other shots, and then we come back to this one. And part of it is because there's so many layers of approvals.
Yeah.
That by the time it gets to finally the director says, no, that's not what I wanted. And then you have to start all over again. And then there was like, sometimes there's the super hyper realism that goes with VFX, which is a little bit different than animation, feature animation, because for me, feature animation is distilling all the stuff that you don't need and just getting straight to the communication of body language, and it's super clean. But you have to dirty everything up in VFX. You know, there's these little twitches that happen, you know, and that you have to kind of, but they have to make sense. They have to be a reason for them to be there. They can't just be twitching for no reason. So that was like, you have to have these like super micro observational eyes to be a VFX animator. And so after a year of it, like I was like kind of not doing as well as I thought I was going to be doing. And then Beauty and the Beast was like, hey, do you want to work on Beauty and the Beast? They go, yes, I want to work on that. Because at least that felt more comfortable to me.
Because it was Disney.
Yeah, it was a little bit more because they're fictional characters. They don't have to be, you know, like a panther that's like super realistic and moving and all the arms and all this other jiggly stuff that's going on. And I can, you know, and in VFX they was like, okay, get some reference. Thank God for YouTube because you can find reference.
Yeah.
And then you put the reference up there, and then you put your animation, and then they judge it. They look like, well, it doesn't look like the reference. Can you make it more? And I'm like, okay, but you have to find the perfect reference, right?
Yeah.
And get that on there. So I said, I don't know if that's for me. It's still a challenge. I still like a challenge. It's like, you know, here's a math problem, fix it. You know, try to solve it. You know, so Beauty and the Beast came up, and I worked on that, and so far it's been released now. It's doing really well.
But why did you lift Singing Frog after Snow Time? You could just stay, right?
At Singing Frog?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Everything shut down. There was like this studio was bare bones for almost 2 years.
Oh, I see. Now it just opened.
Now we got the TV going, and now we're gonna do we're gonna do a sequel.
Yeah.
To Snow Time, and then they have another feature project that they're trying to get funding for. So I feel like there's a lot of potential in the studio, and I think there's some stuff to go to.
I don't know why, but like one of my subscriber really wants to ask this. What is your hobby?
What is my hobby?
Yeah.
I have 2 hobbies. I work out, and I weight lift, and I always have this picture of how I'm going to look like Arnold one day, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But that's never happened. But I keep trying. And then the other hobby is just drawing caricatures, and I still do that. And I actually have a book on how to draw caricatures. On Amazon.com, everybody. Just go to Amazon.com.
So you're a master of drawing.
I don't say if I'm a master. There's a lot of people way better than I am, but I think I do have something to offer. My book has been considered one of the better books on how to draw caricatures.
I see.
And then lately I've been going and getting into landscape painting, so I'll do that.
All right. So the other questions, as I animate instructor, can you tell me any good advice for a student who wants to become an animator?
That's such a big general question.
It is, yeah.
How do you become as an animator? Well, yeah, like it goes back to the advice that I got on the Iron Giant. Just take, because it's a vast subject.
Okay.
Just take one small step. Like if you're going to be a computer animator, learn the software.
Yeah.
Understand the tools. It's like if you want to build if you're a carpenter, you have to know where the tools are. You have to know what a hammer does versus a screwdriver. And then with the screwdriver, there's the the cross one and the flat one, right?
Yeah.
And now they even have a square one or whatever. So you have to know what your tools are and where to find them, because Maya is like, I have all these tools and half the battle is finding them.
Yeah.
And I'm still finding little tools like, I didn't know you could do that. What, after spending how many years in CG, and there's a new tool that I haven't noticed. And people come up with different scripts to handle problems, which is great, like the A tools, which is really awesome. So just take it one small step and believe in yourself, which is cliche.
Okay.
But if you really, if you have a passion for it, it'll show through. Someone will notice it, and do the best you can. Like in every assignment that you do, someone will notice.
Yeah.
And when you're working somewhere, do the best you can. Someone will notice, and someone's going to say, "Hey," because that's what happened to me on the Iron Giant. I was a junior animator in 2D, 39 years old, and I did some stuff that was like not A scenes. They were like C and D scenes. But then Brad would look at it and go, oh, look, there's something in that guy. Let's give him a little bit of a harder shot. So he'd get a little harder shot and he'd go, yeah, okay, now give him another shot. So eventually I was getting shots that some of the other A animators were getting.
Oh, I see.
And so it's just, when you put everything into it, you do your best. And someone's going to figure it out. Someone's going to look at it.
Then you'll get more shots.
Yeah, you get more shots, you get nicer shots, and then you put that on your reel, and then someone else will notice that. So you kind of build your career on all the little successes that you had, and be patient. Be patient with it, because eventually someone's gonna see it.
Yeah, I think eager doesn't really matter. Like my friend told me, think about some guy has a knife on your neck, and if you don't do this shot well, you will die. I have to survive, I'll do my best, and those kind of passion stuff.
That's
it's too dramatic.
It's a little bit dramatic, but I can see the analogy there.
So last questions are, can you tell me about current studio singing frog? Because actually, you're the one of the big reason I choose this studio. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can see the poster. I worked on that movie.
Okay.
I was the anim soup on that, and I feel pretty proud about the fact that we brought, because at that point the talent pool wasn't huge here. Now we're getting a lot of people coming in because Montreal is becoming bigger in terms of feature animation.
It's the second biggest city.
2014 there wasn't a lot. So we got mostly local animators, some out of school, and we had one guy from France that I really liked him a lot. When I was interviewing him, he says, so what brings you to Quebec? And he says, you're from France. I go, well, I like hockey, and I just wanted to change, and I just got out of school, and he burned all his bridges. He burned the boats, and from France, and he came over here, and he had to survive or die, right?
Yeah.
And then his reel was pretty good. He showed some strong posing capabilities, and I said, well, this is the kind of guy we need to have on here. So I gave him a chance, and he did really well. And now he's working, I think, at Atelier, which is with Ted T. And
so after you taught everything, he left.
Yeah, I know. That's happened to a lot of my animators. They're working at Cinecide, Atelier, and you want to come back? Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's the life.
But I did we talked a little bit about some of the projects here, and I really feel like we got a nice family. The family attitude here, and I think last time we had a good group, and I'm trying to get another enthusiastic group of animators here, and hopefully we'll expand in this way and not leave after one movie, when we can actually have a studio that stays together. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for answering all the questions I got, and thanks for. Do you want to comment something, any? I
don't know. I guess that's
okay.
That's all there is. Except if you're interested in drawing caricatures, go buy my book.
Yeah.
Amazon, you can get it on Kindle. You don't have to have it.
Okay.
You can download it on Kindle if you have a Kindle player.
Or Amazon.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you for sharing your time.
All
Bye.
All right. Bye.